So,
Yes.
ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 10 of the
Woo!
20-minute showdown. We've got Dr. Tina D. Lewis from
Hey.
Los Angeles, California, a friend of mine for over a decade now. We've done business together. We've built teams together. We've traveled to states and countries
Yes.
together. And she's got a fantastic story. So before we go into questions, Tina, give us your 90-second story so everybody has a chance to know who you are and a little bit about your background.
Awesome. 90 seconds. Here you go. My name is Dr. Tina D. Lewis. I actually was born and raised a native in Southern California. I am a self-proclaimed mermaid. Anything below 70, I'm done. Listen, teenage mother, projects, food stamps, welfare, prison, penthouse, SUV, made my first six figures in 45 days because of the Nick Sarnicola. Um, Created a program called the Six Figure Incubator, helped other people do exactly that. Seven figures, created a global brand called Global Women Speakers, traveling all over the world, giving entrepreneurs visibility, exposure, and most importantly, help them be seen, heard, and paid. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. Back over to you, Nick.
Well, that is a heck of a story. They can hear you, but they can't see you on Instagram. Just throwing that back out there to you so you know that. But we're going to keep rolling while we figure this out. So, guys, I'm going to tell my quick backstory. Tina, maybe you work on your video for your Instagram, and
Yes, sir.
we'll keep rolling. So, guys, my quick backstory. From Michigan originally, got introduced to entrepreneurship at 18 years old. Fell in love with direct sales networking, built a team, master leadership, made my first million at 25, started a company called Marcellus, built that internationally across 19 countries, 3.5 million customers, created nearly 70 millionaires. And we did 2.2 billion in sales, and it was just the greatest ride up and down of all things successful and all things painful and of success and failures that you could ever possibly imagine in that time frame. So that's my quick backstory. Let's start with this. Tina, what was the deciding factor in your life where you knew or made the decision? Could have been as an adult, could have been as a kid, where you
Right.
said, there's no way that I'm going to accept failure, defeat. There's no way I'm going to be poor. There's no way my family's going to be raised in the projects. There's no way that. What was
Yes.
the deciding factor where you went from an environment mentally of a poor mindset to the environment mentally of I'm going to make it no matter what? Do you remember? Was there a key moment?
Oh, absolutely. I was 10 years old. I was in the fifth grade. My mom was in a near fatal car accident, Nick, and we lost everything. Nick, honestly, I went home from school as a 10-year-old from the fifth grade, having a blast, to a neighbor being in my home saying, I'm going to take you to see your mom. Take me to see my mom. Well, she had been in a car accident, um, near fatal. She was in a body cast for 3 months. And for Christmas, while all the other kids were ripping open their gifts, exposing their toys, we were being escorted to the hospital, just thanking God that my mom was our gift. 3 months. And I can tell you, we
Wow.
lost everything. We went from having everything to having no thing. We created that word, no thing. We had nothing. And so not only that, she got divorced while she was in a body cast. And so our life became extremely hard, literally. And we moved to the projects. It was a culture shock. And I can tell you, I made up my mind in that very moment that this is not how the story is going to end. I said that I would never allow anyone or anything to be in control of my zip code, what I ate, where I lived, what I drove, or the money that I had or did not have. So that was the defining factor for me at 10 years old.
Wow. Wow. I think we could probably, in a normal interview, could probably do an hour just in what you experienced, what you saw, what you felt as a child in that massive transition. And we'll have to do that in a follow-up in some sort of format. But what a powerful story. So it was a unexpected, tragic event that turned you from having, maybe that middle class, upper middle class lifestyle to nothing overnight. And you had made a decision shortly thereafter that you'll never be in a position when you're in control that
Ever.
that you have nothing, no things.
Ever. Ever.
Hell yes. What a beautiful story. Okay, I'm ready. Hit me with question number one.
All right, question number one. Nick, you came from Grand Rapids, Michigan.
I
Now,
did.
the people that are in your environment, they are not entrepreneurs. I mean, with all due respect to Michigan,
Yeah.
Grand Rapids, that is, right? So people are not entrepreneurs. They're not seen as the seven-figure state or people who are living luxurious lifestyle. Now, I know you. I mean, you from Miami to Ferraris to creating millionaires, literally. And so, how did you, my friend, my brother, my mentor, how did you go from growing up seeing people work in a factory,
Yeah.
not taking the same trajectory, right? You made a decision. So, what was that defining factor in your life that caused you to say, you know what, I will not work in a factory, I will not wear a uniform, I will wear shorts and flip flops and be on the beach? Nick, over to
It's
you.
a great question. And I see like Nicolette's from Grand Rapids right now too. And Grand Rapids has drastically changed in the last 40 years, right? I grew up
Right,
there
of
40
course.
years ago. It's
Mhm.
now a really cool like medical tech hub. But back
Yes.
then it was a factory hub. It's the it had all the car manufacturers, had multi-thousand person plants, and then you had it's the steel, it's the furniture manufacturing of the world. Herman Miller, Stowe Davis, Steelcase, and these were little cities. These factories were little cities of 5 to 10,000 factory workers at each of them. Right, it was crazy. So that's what it was like 40 years ago. And remember, there was no social media and there was no internet, so you couldn't like Google wealth, you couldn't Google success. You saw TV and you saw movies, and that was it. So I just remember anytime I saw a movie or a magazine or a TV show about people that were successful financially as a kid, you just said kids, people, you saw it when people were rich. I just decided I want to be rich one day. It was to me, it was very black and white. It was logical. Do you want to be rich or do you not want to be rich? Do you want to do these things or do you not want to do these things? Oh, I want to do those things. Well, what does that require? That requires money. Okay, great. How do you get money? And that I just started through the process of elimination, started figuring out, well, how do I do that? I can't sing, can't dance, can't rhyme, can't act, not going to do anything illegal. So I played sports until eventually, and luckily, I was introduced to entrepreneurship. So, it was, I don't want to be one of those in my day, but in my day, right, there was no internet, there was no social media, there was no way to really look up and be and be infiltrated by wealth and when you come from a super poor or middle class background. So I don't know. I saw a little bit of it in some movies or something. I was like, that's what I want. I want that. How do you get that? Oh, you got to be a movie star or a pro athlete or great. I'm gonna go do that then. So that's my answer.
Wow.
So
Love it.
let me go to question number two. Question
Woo!
number two. I would like to know how one of your greatest failures has turned you, or what you have learned from one of your greatest failures, and how that's turned you into the success that you are today. Now, I'm gonna frame this because sometimes I get people that are like, "Well, I've never failed because I've learned from it." I got you. I understand.
Oh no, I felt.
Yeah, I understand how we spin that as people that are positive,
Right.
but there's when you put it on a scale of your most successful triumphs and your least successful triumphs. Maybe I could reframe it. How did you learn from the things that, or maybe let's pick one. Hey, Nick, this happened. Here's what it did to me, and here's who I became because of that.
Okay. A drastic fail for me is simple. Like it's black and white because um all of us, especially high achievers, I mean, we set our goals so high that we plan on achieving them. And when we don't, we call it a failure. And I've had many of those. And that is, like you said, what has caused me to be who I am today. And so one of my failures is that I, re- it's, I created a program. It was called Royalty Coaching. That was the name of my business. I just liked the name, right? And so I was speaking at the convention center in Atlanta. I was giving my pitch, and it was awesome. And I said, now, I don't want you to go to the back of the room. This is going to be black and white. Come up to the front. Who would like to invest in the royalty coaching program. And this one guy, tall, handsome, like gentleman, stood up. He said, I will. And I said, okay. And then I said, well, stay tuned. And I gave them my pitch. I told them how much it cost. It was $10,000. And so at the end of it, he still wanted it. I was like, okay, good. And when he came up to me, I said, you know what? I have a payment plan. I have a payment plan. Like most people would have been like, oh, that's awesome. It's 10 grand, a payment plan. But I offended him. Totally offended him. He looked at me like, I don't need a payment plan. And I was like, well, I'm just saying you can do 5 and 5, or you can do, and he said, I don't need a payment plan. And he gave me his American Express Platinum. And my hand was shaking. Like, I was like, oh my gosh. And I was like, I swiped his card. It was the first $10,000 sale that I made at one time, paid in full. And so the reason why I say that's a fail is because 2 reasons. One, I made an assumption because I didn't have $10,000 at the time. Right? So our money story is our story, what we believe. And so I didn't have $10,000 at the time. So I'm like, you can pay a payment plan, but I insulted him. Number 2 is the other part of the failure is I took $10,000 and I didn't even have a plan. Honestly, Nick, at the time, I knew I can create a plan for him, but I didn't have a system to put him in where it can be perpetual. Number 3, the most epic fail, a part of that same thing is that I was able to build an amazing relationship with he and his wife, and we're still friends to this day, but I actually overpromised and underdelivered. And because of that, now I don't have to say over deliver because I'm going to give them exactly what I say I'm going to give them. And because of the experiences, because of the knowledge, because of the financial investments I made in myself, I don't have to over deliver because, sweetie, Mr., I'm going to give you tremendous value. And that is enough. So, Nick, that's my failure. Back over to you.
Good. I love it. Great. Well stated. When you put in, you didn't hold back. And so I heard never assume. I said, and I heard don't never overpromise and underdeliver. And you also, I think the other one that you said in there was you always have to be prepared, right? You were selling something that you weren't prepared to deliver on, right? Absolutely. So well said. Okay, I'm ready. Hit me.
Wait, before your second question, you said never. The first thing you said.
First thing you said was never assume.
Right.
You assumed that because you didn't have $10K floating around in your bank account, there's no way he was going to. So you
absolutely, and that's one of the 4 agreements. That's one of the 4 agreements. If you have not adopted or even read the 4 agreements by Mr. Miguel, I encourage you to do so. Number 1 is never make any assumptions. Number 2, never take anything personal. Number 3, always give your best. And number 4, be impeccable with your word. So I follow those 4 agreements now, Nick. And so thank you for spotlighting that. And because there are entrepreneurs that are not making the move because they are personally not ready financially, mentally, spiritually, emotionally. But I'm saying go for it, right? Yeah. It's belief. In life, you get what you believe. Okay. And so my question to you, Mr. Nick Sarnicola, is I want to know, was there ever a time when you actually did something that you should have apologized for, but didn't? That's number 1. And then number 2 is how did you handle that, knowing that you should have done something, but didn't? Did you hold on to regret? Did you release it? How are you able to mentally move forward without allowing that to have residue? Over to you, Nick.
Okay, so I'm actually pretty good at apologizing. I mess up all the time. Especially years ago, I'm more reactive, right? So I just say it's because I'm Italian. I'm a quarter Sicilian. But I'm usually pretty good at apologizing, especially if I know I've screwed up. Like I have no hesitation of like, hey, I screwed up. But on the flip side, I'm sure there's 1,000 people that would tell you that I owe them an apology for blank.
Right.
And I so when you ask the question of, hey, is there a time where you regret not apologizing? I I I I don't, unless somebody said to me right now, "Hey, I've been holding on to this. I wish you would
Right.
apologize." And then I'd be like, "Man, I didn't know that." Because I think there's certain people, both of us are similar in personality, that we can do things that offend people, but we didn't know we actually offended them. So we didn't know we're supposed to apologize. But if I do know I'm supposed to apologize, I am absolutely quick to apologize. And I've never, even if as I'm sitting here right now, I've never been like, man, I regret not
Chantel Jonathan.
not apologizing for blank. Now I could take this a different direction and say, I definitely, I definitely have been slow to forgive, and that's different than quick to apologize. It's actually the opposite.
Absolutely.
Right? So if
Absolutely.
I'm thinking through the full scope here of apologizing and forgiving. I've definitely been slow to forgive in certain scenarios. If I was to regret one, it might be more of being slow to forgive as opposed to slow to apologize.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that I didn't answer your question directly, but it really is
No,
just
actually, you did. You
okay.
actually did answer the question. It was there an instance, and you said, "Hey, you know what? There's not an instance where I am knowledgeable or cognizant where I should have apologized,
Yeah,
but I have been slow to forgive." And I think just human nature. We're all kind of slow to forgive because we've been hurt. It's like, ouch. We have to wait till the scab is on until it heals, the epithelial cells are over it, and then we're like, okay, it doesn't hurt anymore when I touch that area. So
yeah.
I totally understand that. Awesome. So Nick, your
What were
question.
the cells? The Gesundheit cells? What were they called?
Epithelial cells, the
Yeah,
skin.
that's probably why I've been slow to forgive. I didn't know the name of those cells, so and I still can't pronounce them. I think that's anyway. So great
Yeah, I was
question.
using the analogy with a wound,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
No,
because
great
it's
question.
really important. I mean, it's gone, the skin is over it, it looks normal, but
Yeah.
if you touch in that area, it's still like, ouch, it's sensitive,
The
it's
scar tissue.
tender.
The scar tissue.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, number 3.
Number 3, woo!
Number
Can I
3.
get a drum roll, please?
Yes, we're gonna make this for a sales professional, an entrepreneur, or a solopreneur. If there was 3 must have characteristics to make it, like you're not going to make it without these 3 characteristics, what are the 3 must have characteristics in order for anyone in those different roles or functions to be successful?
Okay, in my humble opinion, actually, it's not even humble. I'm gonna give you my opinion because I have been wildly successful, but I also have had some massive failures. But I can tell you, here's things that I believe, and just reading Inc. and Fortune 500 and different magazines and books, um, there are some common denominators in every single entrepreneur who've created massive success. And of course, that's perspective and subjective, but the reality is, one, you have to have grit. Like, grit is that thing you just can't give, you can't teach. You have to have grit. I got grit. Like, no matter what is going to get done, you can knock me down, you can run over me with an 18-wheeler. I'm still going to get up. Even if I have to limp, it's going to get done. I promise you, you can cancel Christmas. It's happening. It's happening. So grit, in my humble opinion. And then
Hang
number
on,
2.
hang on. I'm gonna dive in because you said cancel Christmas. Did that grit start because Christmas was canceled that one year? Is that where grit began for you?
You know what? I think that's awesome that you said that because not only was when she was in the hospital, Thanksgiving was even canceled. While other families, Nick, were sitting around the table passing that pumpkin pie, that German chocolate cake, that honey baked ham, we were going to the hospital just thanking God that was, her life was our Thanksgiving. So I believe, that was totally subconscious that I said cancel Christmas. But you know what? That makes sense. As a matter of fact, I'm going to write a book, a chapter, but about that in an anthology about canceling Christmas because my Christmas was canceled. So yeah, so grit is number 1. You have to have that grit. You have to be ready to do it no matter what. Number 2, outside of grit, I think you have to have that bulldog tenacity. When a bulldog grabs onto something, and I'll say a pit and a rock, all you have to have that kind of tenacity that you want it so bad that you are not letting go. So my goals, my freedom, I want that so bad that there I'm not letting go. I may change the vehicle. I mean, I may take a plane, a train, an automobile. I may take, a bird. I am going to change the vehicle, but I'm never ever going to change my destination. And I'm going to get there no matter what. I have that bulldog tenacity. You can tell me it's not going to work. You cannot support me. You cannot buy from me. You cannot hire me. You can badmouth me. You can do whatever. But I can tell you this: at the end of every sentence, they're gonna say, "But she's doing her thing, though. But she got it done." So
You don't quit.
no, at all. What? I don't even know how to say that. I can't even get it out. So number one is have grit. Number two is that bulldog tenacity. And number three, I think one of the attributes you have to have is, I think, rhinoceros skin, the skin of a rhinoceros. So it's about following those four agreements, never take anything personal. Nick, for me, at one point in my life, and I applaud you publicly for helping me with that, because that's one of the things, I used to take things personally. I should be like, well, they said this, and I had to address every single thing. And one of the things that you said, Nick, that stuck with me is we were arguing on the phone. I call it arguing, but you were just saying what it was, because there was no arguing with you. You was like, listen, I'm the one who created, 40 millionaires. Now, are you going to listen to me? You told me, Nick, and I want you guys to write this down. I want you to rewind this, because this is so true. You said, Tina, do you want to be rich or do you want to be right? And honestly, at the time, I think I had the mindset of being right. Like, I'm going to tell you, because that's not what you said. But then once you hung up in my face, because yeah, he hung up in my face, you guys, before. And let me tell you something.
Let me apologize for that currently.
Actually, no. I don't want you to apologize. There's no apology needed. So we're on the phone like this. Look at this. I'm like, yeah. And you're just like, Tina, go do this. Because I said, hey, I'm coachable. Tell me what to do. I'm going to go do it. But this one day, I'm like, well, shouldn't I do it this way? Shouldn't I do this? And you're like, no, do it like this. I'm like, well, what about this? And you said, Tina, listen, I don't have time for this. Click. And I was looking at the phone like this. What? Wait, did he just hang up on me? Like, does he know I am Tina D. Lewis, and the D stands for Diva? Did he just hang up on me? So I love the fact that, he probably couldn't do that to someone else, because they would probably take it, wrong, or run away, or not speak or anything. But for me, I admit, like, I am rough around the edges. I need some straight coaching. Tell me what to do. I'll do it. Make me better. I'm all about amelioration. Make me better, enhance me, improve me, and put yourself in that environment. And so, Nick, I applaud you for that. You want to be rich or you want to be right? And I say that to my clients to this day. And I tell you because my mentor said it to me. And so those are the three things. One, you have to have grit. Two, have that bulldog tenacity. And I'm going to say perseverance. You have to have perseverance. And I developed the skin of a rhinoceros. Nothing bothers me anymore. I'm not going to say I don't feel a certain way about it, but I'm going to say it does not affect.
Yeah.
It does not affect my goal. It does not affect my day. I don't have bad days. I have bad moments. Nick, back over to you.
Well, beautifully stated. I think that last thing you said might be the most powerful thing of all of it, which is you don't have bad days, you have bad moments, and you figure out how to course correct based on knowing yourself deeply enough on how to course correct quickly. So
absolutely,
bravo to you, man. This is so great to see your evolution over the last decade.
Well, you know what? It comes by having mentors. I believe that everyone, no matter how great you are, or how non-great you think you are. I believe that everyone should have a mentor. Nick, even with my story from my mom near fatal car accident, to the projects, to welfare, to a plethora of other things, even with that, for me to be able to be on Necker Island with Richard Branson and be mentored by a billionaire, projects, Necker Island, there's no synalogy there at all. It just isn't. There's no synonymy at all. To me, being able to meet Oprah Winfrey, to Robert Kiyosaki, to Donald Trump, like, I know you guys got to say a lot of things about it. It's not about politics for me. For me, I love watermelon. So you know what I do, you guys? I eat the red meat and spit out the seeds, even for people. The knowledge that I get, I eat the
That's
red meat and I spit
awesome.
out the seeds. Everything is not
Where'd
going to
you
apply
get
to
that?
me.
Hang on. Where'd you get that? That's good. That's really good. That's the first time I've ever heard that in my life, and it's very rare that I hear something completely new for the first time. Beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, because
All right,
that's just the reality.
hit me with the last question. Let's take it
Okay,
home.
awesome. The last question for the Nick Sarnicola is: you've traveled all around the globe developing entrepreneurs from different religions, different cultures.
Yep.
And so, for most entrepreneurs, I think it's safe to say, and I'm basing this on statistics, to have a multilingual, multi diverse client based audience, there has to be some attributes or some characteristics that you have to develop so you can appeal to all. So I would love for you to tell me, like, what is that one thing that causes you to go to Italy and become an Italian? Not the part that you're Sicilian, but how can you do that? How can you dive in with the Latino community and be the el hombre, poppy? How can you do that? How can you get into the Asian culture and all of these cultures? Because Nick, you took a company from zero to billions of dollars in a short time, and it was multicultural. So my question to you was, what is that one attribute that you have to have in order to tap into that genius zone? Back over to you.
You have to be able to feel deeply, right? So you have to be able to feel deeply, because in order to cross over language barriers, you have to tap into something more energetic, right? And you have to be able to sense the emotion on the other side of the person that you're
Yes,
connecting with. And maybe the word is empathy. It's not sympathy, right? It's maybe part of it's
absolutely.
empathy, maybe part of it's energy. But you have to be able to feel deeply to say, okay, because man, language is a son of a bitch. Because even when people are using this Google Translate, like I've had people say some stuff just in the last 24 hours, like I don't think they meant to say that, right? I don't
At
think they
all.
meant to say that exact term right there. So you have to be really open to say, okay, there's going to be a lot of misinterpretation. There's going to be a lot of misunderstanding. We have to understand that we're coming from completely different places, upbringings, cultures,
Yes, yes.
and we have to figure out how to penetrate into the hearts, right? Past all the language, everything else, and penetrate into the hearts. I remember the one that was always the hardest for me was Finland, right? Finland, these people showed zero emotion, even less. Like Germans are known to be very, very
Stoic. Yeah.
stoic, good word, kind of strict, stoic, and just very straightforward. But Finland's like another level, right? And
Wow.
people
I couldn't
afterwards,
imagine.
yeah, and I'm just like, I'm bubbly and I'm just engaging, and at the end, like people never moved an eyebrow, and I'm so excited. This is so exciting. Like, well, tell your face if you're excited. Like, you know what I mean? So you have to figure out how to understand that. Wait, okay, you were a communist occupied country, right? Like
Right.
there's hundreds of years of culture here
Mm,
that you're
mm,
not going to raise your hand and react to me. You're not going to laugh. You're built to be skeptical. You're built to be distant. You're built to be disconnected. You're built to be cold. And
right.
I got to figure out how to penetrate that so that we can get to the humanness of the conversation and figure out, hey, what do you want? And how can I help you? And how can, and how can I help you understand that you can trust me in that? Right. And I think,
Mm,
that was the long answer, but back to the short answer, you have to be able to deeply feel and understand where that person is currently, and where they came from for decades prior, in order
right.
to break through to their heart. Great
Wow.
question.
Oh my gosh. Nick, I think because you have to feel deeply, you have to give that long answer, because feeling deeply encompasses a lot of things. Our first week in medical school, what they taught us? I was in the PA program. What they taught us is that cross-cultural competency, how to deal with other cultures. You never touch the hijab of an Arab nation. You never touch it. You never ask them to remove it. You never call an older Latina lady mija, even though that's a term of endearment. So cross-cultural competency, knowing their struggle, you went back to communism, like knowing their struggle, it helps you ease their pain. And I believe that's where you build instant rapport. And I am doing that now with global women speakers. We speak all over the globe. So dealing with different people, different cultures, I'm just blown away at what you're able to do when you begin to feel deeply.
Where can everyone find you? Take us home. Where can we find you, Tina D?
That's easy.
Dr. Tina D. Lewis.
Yes. Awesome. Thank you for that. Listen, I want to speak to the ladies, gentlemen, and the men who loves us. But if you just simply have a message that you would like to share, a product or service that you would like to sell, literally globally around the world, then I want you to connect with us at globalwomenspeakers.com. There is a QR code right here. Go ahead and scan it. It'll take you directly there. Listen, we just came from Spain and Paris and Dubai. I'm going to London, back to Dubai. We're going to be speaking at the University of Johannesburg. I want to give you an invitation, Nick. I would love for you to come to South Africa with us, speak at the University of Johannesburg. If anyone knows entrepreneurship, it is you, hands down. That is not up for debate. I'm talking about my personal experience. This man right here, no matter what you think about him, what you hear, what you see, he is a beast when it comes to entrepreneurship. He is a machine, literally a machine that can feel deeply. How do you have both? Like, we're anomalies, Nick. That's the reality. He can get you to your goal. You need to connect with him ASAP. Matter of fact, if you're in real estate, listen, I don't know everything, but I know what I know. Did you hear me? I know what I know. So if you are in the real estate market and you want to not 10X, that's cute. You don't want to 10X it, right? If you literally want to build a true legacy and create some massive income, tap into Nick Sarnicola. Nick, they can find me at globalwomenspeakers.com. It's simply for women entrepreneurs that want to share their message, sell their products or their services, or network with women entrepreneurs around the globe. My name is Dr. Tina D. Lewis. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. Back over to you, Nick.
All right, guys, episode 10. We had some tech issues. Apologize for that. Instagram, we're sad that we had to jump off from the IG, but the rest of y'all, I'm looking forward to cutting up. There were some hot topics in here. Look forward to cutting up and getting it out to the world.
Yes.
You guys can find me on nickslinktree.com. That's where you can find everything that we're doing and what we're up to. And episode 10, Dr. Tina D. Lewis, that's a wrap. Tina, thank you so much. Grateful for you.